Hello and welcome to Essex Ford Transit Centre here in Dunton. I'm Kev Harris and you join me at what is a very exciting time, not only because we're live from the dealership showroom this evening, but also because we're bringing you an introductory look at this. It is Ford's first ever fully electric commercial vehicle, the new e-Transit.
Transit is the best-selling cargo van in the world and has been the mainstay of millions of commercial vehicle customers and their businesses since it was first launched back in 1965. And that was the year man first walked in space. And now, 57 years later, and e-Transit is hitting similar groundbreaking milestones, thanks to the latest in vehicle connectivity, EV technology, fast flexible charging options, and a raft of exciting innovation from the designers and engineers at Ford. Transit is a vehicle that has touched most of our lives, from house moves to moving people, to being a mobile office or workstation, to being the facilitator of the fast and efficient deliveries that we all now rely on. Put simply, Transit is the vehicle to get the job done.
Well, isn't it great to see all those iconic Transit images from through the ages, and now you realise that the legacy is going to continue with e-Transit. And I'm pleased to say that joining me to have a chat about it from the off is Nick Wenman, one of the senior sales consultants here in Dunton. Nick, thanks for taking time to have a chat to us this evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a great day down here today in the showroom, in the dealership. But you know, this is a massive moment for Ford, and you must be thrilled that you can kind of now finally, you got them on the ground in the showroom to bring them to people of, you know, Dunton, Dagenham and the surrounding area.
Yeah, we're really excited with it. It's been a long-awaited wait for the e-Transit. Obviously, we've had the normal Transit for quite a while, but obviously with the new technology of electric vehicles, we're ready to go with it, really. So yeah, it's great.
And you guys are ready to go, because we brought a couple along for the staff here in the showroom to actually test drive today, but you've had access to one previous to today. So I know you've been out in it already, and I know you've actually been and driven quite a few competitive vehicles as well at the training event up in Daventry earlier this month. So what is it like to drive? Tell us about what the driving experience is like.
I've got to be honest with you. I mean, it was absolutely amazing drive. We have driven a few of the competitor vehicles as well. The drive of the e-Transit itself is so smooth. I mean, the torque is amazing of it. The power output, even from the 184 brake horsepower. I haven't had the privilege of driving the 269 yet, but I can imagine that's phenomenal. But do you actually need it? Probably not. No. The 184, amazing to drive, Kev. It really is.
And for your customers, of which you have many, I know you've got a long history of serving commercial vehicle customers in this part of the world. Day to day and what they're using Transit for, you know, day to day and weekly, month by month, when they switch to e-Transit, you know, they're not going to notice much difference, are they? Payload's still the same. It's still just a great van for moving stuff around.
Load space, payload, absolutely great. Torque, no difference really at all. Obviously, the range is very good, considering the actual battery size and so on. It's going to be a real good transition from normal Transit to e-Transit. It's going to be fantastic for them, really. So.
And the driving experience, like, you know, having had a go in this one myself, it's car-like, isn't it? Very comfortable up there in the front.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's very car-like. The Sync 4 screen is amazing. The actual functionality of the Sync 4 screen is even better. The way you can precondition the van for you first thing in the morning. Amazing technology. You can go out, warm the whole vehicle out without even unplugging it. So you're not jeopardising any range, any battery use whatsoever before you've even left for the day. So this side of it, good things to come.
And also, excitingly, you guys down here at Dunton at Essex Ford Group, you've got a leasing scheme where people can actually make that transition a bit easier.
Yeah, we have. We've basically got flexi lease now, okay, so you can go from 0 to 6 months. Try before you buy it is what we call it, okay. It's a real good way to transition into electric vehicles. If you never had the opportunity to drive one, please come along, have a drive and stuff like that. You've got flexi lease if you want a slightly longer term, okay, as well. It's very cost effective to do, okay, as well. If you actually had a customer of mine come in with his little scrap piece of paper and he basically worked out the calculation of what it was going to cost him to go into central London for a period of time, and then what the calculation would be on an e-transit. And it was pretty much a no-brainer for him, really. He's out on a flexi lease now, testing the vehicle. So brilliant. Looking forward to the response of it, really.
Great stuff. All right, Nick, thanks ever so much.
You're more than welcome, Kev.
Don't forget that we're live here this evening at Essex Ford in Dundon. So if you've got any questions for Nick or the team, just pop them in the Facebook comments section below. There are people monitoring the comments and in the coming days as well. So if you don't get an answer tonight or you're watching this at some point in the future, still pop something in the comments. We'll get back to you. Right, without further ado then, let's start taking a closer look at the e-Transit. So here we are then at the front of e-Transit. It's the perfect place to start, isn't it? And it's where you'll find the unique front grille. You know it's e-Transit because it's got these lovely blue flashings on the front of the grille here. It's also where you'll find the charge socket, which lives in the middle here. We'll talk more about charging a little bit later on, but the headline news is this: you get a best-in-class range of up to 196 miles off a full charge. And that's actually 3 times the daily average driven by commercial vehicle customers in Europe. With depot charging, you can fully charge it back up in as little as 8 hours, and using the DC fast chargers that are popping up all over the UK and Europe, you can put up to 80% back in as little as 34 minutes, which is great. And when you take a little walk along the side here and look down the side profile, you'd be forgiven for thinking that it's still a Transit. That's because it is still a Transit. The dimensions are all still the same. And when you start talking about wheelbase and vehicle height, and there are 25 different variants you can have based on that sort of wheelbase and height combination. That's across obviously the van, double cabin van and chassis cab, all of which you're used to with the standard Transit. And then the battery lives under the rear load floor there. You can't see it, but it's underneath the rear load floor. And the great thing about that is, with where the battery is positioned, there's no loss of payload. In fact, to show you just how little has changed between e-Transit and its much-loved diesel counterpart, we put the two side by side and asked Nick Day to show us around.
As we've already been hearing, the all-new e-Transit is still very much the Transit we all know and love. And it's no surprise there's many similarities both internally and externally. So we thought it'd be a really good idea to just show you how familiar you're going to be with this e-Transit by comparing it side to side with one of its diesel counterparts, in particular the rear doors and the load area. Now here at the rear, you'll be hard pressed to play a game of Spot the Difference. The only external clue that this is an e-Transit is the unique badging. Let's open the doors and have a look and see what's going on inside. Internally, the load carrying capabilities that make the Transit such a workhorse remain largely unchanged. We have a load area of just over 15 metres cubed and a payload of 1,758 kilos for the van and more for the chassis cab. With tie-down points and our rack mounting capabilities that we're used to. If you already work with our qualified vehicle modifiers for your company's conversions, I'm almost certain there'll be no problem at all. Now the clever part of the design is even with the battery sitting in the chassis here below the load floor, we could see a difference in load height between 3 and 5 centimetres. But parked next to the all-wheel drive diesel version, you can see they're almost identical. Hopefully you've seen now that the all-new e-Transit is still very much a Transit, now though with the addition of the exciting electric drivetrain. Let's head back to the dealership and learn about options for charging.
Well, big thanks to Nick there, and it's quite remarkable, isn't it, when you see them side by side, you realise just how little has changed. Transit is still the workhorse that you know and love, except for it's simply now powered by the cleaner and more efficient option of the battery and the motor. So let's take a look at some of the EV tech that is at the heart of e-Transit, starting with that all-important battery. So E-Transit's 400-volt battery is positioned in a sealed structural box under the rear load floor, and it has a usable capacity of 68 kilowatt hours, which equates in layman's terms, as far as you and I are concerned, to a best-in-class range of up to 196 miles. And as you can see here, and as we were just hearing from Nick, the motor is positioned in the rear subframe, just in the back there, and the ride and handling has been improved with the help of independent coil spring rear suspension. And once again, with that battery and motor positioning being under the load floor as it is, you've got no loss of payload. So it's still 15.1 meters cubed, there or thereabouts, and 1.7 tons the total payload, or 1758 kilograms in total. That's on the van. Now, E-Transit has been designed to be both fast and flexible when it comes to charging. You can plan and control all of the charging options via the Ford Pass Pro app or by using the Ford e-telematics fleet solution. Now, charging when you're back at the depot using a commercial power supply should take around 8 hours, and we have a number of charging solutions available to help you with that. When you're at home, the most convenient thing to do is to have a Ford wall box. Slightly longer charge time than the commercial depot charging, but still around 11 hours, somewhere between 8 to 11 hours on that one. You can also use a standard 3-pin plug socket and a mobile charge cable that comes supplied, but obviously the charge time will be longer off that lower rated supply. When you're out on longer journeys, as I mentioned at the top of all of this, you can put up to 80% capacity back in using the DC fast chargers in as little as 34 minutes. And those DC fast chargers, you'll find loads of them these days, but there's many of them that are part of the 16,000 outlet Blue Oval charging network, and access to that network is free for the first 12 months with every E-Transit as part of Ford e-telematics. So charging then, plenty of options for it. It's clearly both fast and flexible, but I was keen to know what it's like in the real world when you're out and about for a day running errands in an E-Transit. What is it like when you have to stop and use a DC fast charger? Well, I was keen to see if in the time that I'd stopped, grabbed a cup of coffee, checked a few work emails, I could put enough energy back into the battery to keep the E-Transit wheels rolling. So as we've been hearing with the E-Transit and charging, you have a few options. But one thing that I've been learning over the last few years since I've been learning about electric vehicles like the E-Transit is that the place that you will most frequently recharge will be back at the depot in the evening or at home overnight. This means that you wake up each and every morning with a full charge ready to go again. And this is certainly the most cost-effective and easiest way to do so, putting the service station on your own doorstep. But what about if you're out and about away from home or perhaps on a longer journey? Where will you charge and how long will it take? Fast charging at an electric forecourt like this new GridServe facility here in Braintree, Essex is definitely the way to go when you want a quick turnaround, because they have reliable, super fast charging on site for up to 36 vehicles. Right, so the time is just coming up to 12:30. Let's see how many miles I can add to my range in the time it takes me to nip inside, grab a coffee, go to the loo and check a few work emails. Right, so there we go. I've been plugged in for 20 minutes and I've added 71 miles to my range, which is great because that's more than I need for the rest of the day to get all of my jobs done and to head back to the depot. And while this method of fast DC charging is not something that you want to rely on all the time, it certainly is a fast and convenient way to add some miles to your range. So let's head back to the dealership now then and learn about the rest of Ford Pro. Well, it really was a great day out there at GridServe in Essex, but I have to say, you might find with depot charging and a home wall box that the amount of times you actually stop off and use those high-powered DC chargers may not be all that frequent. back here live though in Dunton in Essex, and when you're sitting in the cab of E-Transit, you realise that you get a great sense of space and openness. And that's thanks in no small part to the removal of any kind of gear stick or gear shifter, and the handbrake is gone as well. They've been replaced with this. It's a rotary gear dial and then an electric parking brake. And that parking brake lives just down here by your right knee. You have heated seats and a heated windscreen that now come as standard. You can actually precondition the cabin temperature, as Nick mentioned at the top of all of this, before you get in the morning while the vehicle is on charge. And you can do that through the Ford Pass Pro app, or as we're seeing here, using the 12-inch touchscreen display. And let's talk about Sync 4 for a moment, because that touchscreen display is part of Sync 4. And it is the control centre for E-Transit. It's far and away the best sync system that Ford have developed to date. And because E-Transit is a fully connected electric vehicle that works seamlessly within the Ford Pro ecosystem, because there's a modem built in, you get all of the innovation that Ford Pro delivers, which is the commercial vehicle needs that every kind of commercial vehicle customer is going to need. And maybe this is the first time you've heard about Ford Pro and connected vehicles and all of that kind of technology. And if it is, panic not, because Tori Campbell went along to the commercial vehicle show in Birmingham earlier this year to find out more about Ford Pro and the technology that's gone into this industry-leading system.
I'm at the CV show here in Birmingham, where we're launching the Ford Pro brand. The story is all about the connectivity and technology on board, which is really at the heart of the E-Transit. And I think I've just spotted the ideal man to tell us some more.
No problem. Take care. See ya.
Andy, can I borrow you just for a moment?
Of course you can.
Thank you. You're the Fleet Ownership Experience Manager here at Ford. So what I wanted to know is, what do you and your team do with the data from connected vehicles?
At the heart of Ford Pro is E-Transit, and indeed the whole of the commercial vehicle family. They all have integrated modems, and they're able to push data from the vehicle up into the cloud. And that has one single ambition, is to maximise the amount of uptime of our customers and therefore their own productivity. The Ford Live connected uptime system uses the real-time data from the cloud in order to liaise between customer, dealer and Ford Motor Company. And therefore the idea is, by taking the VOR, the vehicle off-road information, we are able to understand what parts might be required, what diagnostic routines might be required, and hopefully get the right technician in place to absolutely minimise your downtime and get you back on the road.
So as Andy just said, connected vehicles allow us to do so much more in terms of maximising productivity. However, being here at the show, I've realised there is a lot more to Ford Pro. So I'm here with Mandy Dean, Ford of Britain's Commercial Vehicles Director. So Mandy, why Ford Pro and why now?
Well, around the world, tens of millions of Ford trucks and vans are at work every day, helping people to get their jobs done. And whilst their work may not make the headlines, they make our world run, and they are what Ford is all about. And those customers are going through huge and unprecedented change right now. Businesses and organisations of all sizes see the promise of electric and digital vehicles, but they know it's going to be a complicated shift and they're worried about it. They want to work with a single trusted partner, not cobble together a bunch of different services to help them get this transition right. And that's exactly why we've created Ford Pro.
So here at the show and in your advertising, I've seen that Ford Pro is all about productivity. But what does that actually mean for your customers?
Well, our mission is to provide a seamless end-to-end solution for best-in-class vehicles, charging, software, service and financing, all from a single trusted partner. And we want to help those customers make their transition to an electrified future really simple and completely worry-free. But Ford Pro really comes into its own when it translates the data that Andy was talking about into the things that really matter for our customers, like improved uptime, reduced running costs, smarter charging and simpler administration. It basically brings together the 5 key pillars of commercial productivity solutions, so the vehicles, services, software, charging solutions and financing, all that just simply work better together.
Well, big thanks to Mandy Dean and Andy Patton there at the Commercial Vehicle Show in Birmingham earlier this year. And I have to say, when you get in under the bonnet, pardon the pun, of what connected vehicles and all that data and telematics can do, it really is quite incredible. So it's going to be a real plus for businesses both large and small. That's all we've got time for then this evening, live from Essex Ford Transit Centre here in Dunton. Don't forget, you can pop any questions in the Facebook comments section below. And if you'd like to, pick up the phone and give Nick and the team and the guys down here at Essex Ford a call. They'd love to welcome you down, show you the e-Transit, have a chat about it, and more importantly as well, if you're somebody who is using transit day to day at the moment, you want to find out how e-Transit is going to fit into your life, ask the guys about that short-term leasing solution so you can actually take one out into the real world and see if it's the van for you, which fingers crossed, hopefully it will be. So there you go, it is the new e-Transit. It is still every bit of transit, the transit that you know and love, except for it's now an all-electric commercial vehicle workhorse that has been designed for the 21st century and beyond. Thanks for watching, see ya.